Hello BookTube, this is my last Nonfiction November update for this year. So in my last video I mentioned wanting, since I'd finished all of the books I'd set myself to read, that I was going to read the three most recent issues of National Geographic and read some of the essays and articles I've collected from various academic journal aggregate sites like JSTOR or Project Muse. So I read two of the three most recent National Geographic issues, the October and November issues. This is the October issue. This is the November issue. And I read I read one and then parts of another journal article. One was about narrative theory, and the other one, it was a essay on the novel Texaco. But while I was reading those journals on my tablet, I realized my battery doesn't last that long when I'm doing that. And also I had some readability issues, so I decided to forego reading more journal articles or essays over this last week of November, and read two books on writing and skimming a journal or a magazine. So let's talk about what I did read. So this is the October issue of National Geographic. This deals mostly with endangered animals and plants in danger of going extinct. And there are several very, very moving and heartrending stories in here. Particularly this cover story about the death of the last white male rhino, and it was just heartbreaking. And there were so many other great stories in here this month. No, yeah, definitely, if you haven't read it, do read it. Next I read the November issue, which is a special issue on women, A Century of Change. And this was, again, very, very fascinating. There's, let me see here. What article was it? I want to say page 50. Yeah, what was it? No? There's, yeah, sorry about this. There's one article, I want to say it's Shaping the Future. Well, no. Yes, it is. Speaking about taking control, changing destinies, shaping the future. By Rania Abu Zaid, with photographs by Lynn Johnson. That was an amazing article. Definitely, if you have not read this issue of National Geographic, you should do so. It is fantastic. And then I read a little bit of the February 2015 issue of the Postel Journal. So I got these about a year or two ago. They were on sale by the publisher, and I quite enjoy these. They're always helpful. Got some brilliant articles, interviews, tips and techniques. So on to the writing books. The first book I read, and I started it on Monday, is The Art of Intimacy by Stacey d'Erasmo. This Art of series, I would actually hesitate to call these how to write books, because they're more literary criticism that, through in the interpretation of the set topic, may show writers' ideas, techniques, ways of thinking about what they write and about the subject under discussion. And this is really, really brilliantly done. And then I read Beginnings, Middles, and Ends by Nancy Kress. I quite enjoyed this book too. I mean, it's very short. It gave me a lot of things to think about and how to work on beginnings, middles, and ends. I did feel like sort of fell off a bit towards the end, and I think the last chapter on revision could have been a little bit better done. But anyway, so that is the final bits of nonfiction I've read in November. So I'm going to start tomorrow on my December reading, because it gives me a full weekend to start on. So yeah. So nonfiction November was, for the most part, incredibly fun. There really wasn't well, except for The Brief History of the Caribbean, really a dud that I'd read. I enjoyed most of the books, and even Brief History of the Caribbean gave me subjects that I really want to read more in. So, yeah. Anyway, thank you, BookTube.